Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and today we have Operation Raptor Rescue. Straight ahead of me is the Raptor. It's a ranger that has broken engines, so you have to escort an engineer and a couple other support ships to her, get her repaired, get her to the exit. And in my experience so far, once you get to the Raptor, you have to then proceed to a point about where my mouse is, and then off to the west where your final exit is. Now, obviously, that could be different. The cases I've run through, it's always been over here. Now, you can see I'm in the Duca d'Aosta, and I really find the fast kind of railgunny cruisers really do the best here. So I've brought the Duca. Goomba is in the Grafsch Bay, wielding those 283s. I've also found the Bagioni very useful. The Molotov would be very good. And overall, just wrecking targets. Off the start, you can see primary task, escort the floating workshop, and the secondary, save the support ships, and kill 3 ships in a minute. So only having a minute means focusing things down quick is important. Now, I look to shoot at the Minakaze, there's enough going that way. Side on Furitaka, it's time to try to do work. Unfortunately, first shells don't really do too much, only around 3,400 damage, but the second volley will finish her off, which means I can switch targets to the Minakaze. And look at everyone firing. It's worth noting, what I've found so far is the Furitaka never gets close enough to damage any of the ships you're trying to defend. The Minakaze can. But with 2 down, we've got 1 to go, and really this is where I'll mention one of the other big things, if you can bring it, is have a friend who's competent in a CV. Having a strike capability to just single targets out and erase them really quickly, very handy in this mode I found, because it is a decent sized map and a lot of different ships spawn. Once you get to the Ranger, you're going to have a couple new secondary tasks. One is beat the Ranger to the exit. Never had a problem doing that. It's pretty simple, and you can do it anytime. It's not something that once you get there, it's over. You can get into that circle, it completes the objective, move on, keep going. Some of the other objectives, kill the 2 named CVs that spawn. And in my experience, one is always spawned in this quadrant down in the southeast, and one's spawned over near the west. So I'm going to head to the southeast, namely these kind of islands over here, looking for that CV. You can see Tengu Blade keying the map, saying, hey, get over there. Obviously, they've played it as well too, and in my experience, that's where they've always been. And like any operation, a little bit of coordination goes a long way. The Duca is no slouch as far as speed goes. Sure, she isn't one of the French ships with that speed boost, but makes up with it with some sea mines of torpedoes that are a little longer range, but these guns are just super punchy. They're like the Russian ships. That really flat trajectory punches in to a lot of the low armored targets that spawn. And that's really what I've been finding about these operations, is a lot of what you're facing, obviously lower tier than you. There's going to be 1 or 2 ships each one that are higher tier, like Newport where an Izumo spawns. But for the most part, you're dealing with tiers 4 and 5s. A couple 6s, maybe a 7. These cruisers make mincemeat out of any of those targets. And I think the French ships would. Even the Cleveland, if you get close enough, he's going to be punching through them. The Cleveland obviously bringing a lot of AA, which, once again, pretty useful on this. When you have 2 named carriers to destroy, you know you're going to be facing AA. Now, thankfully, I do have defensive cooldown on this, so I'm going to be alright, which is why I'm comfortable being off alone. Thankfully, I do have a friendly carrier. You can see he's looking on the map, trying to figure out where Hayato, the enemy's Weho, has spawned. Got him spotted, and it takes me a bit to get turned in, but I do turn in. Now, obviously, I can see the Kuma, it's been spotted as well, but a Minakaze has always spawned with that carrier, and you'll see it right away smokes them. And through the plays I've done of this operation, that's always happened. That Minikaze always lays a smoke. Thankfully, the other thing I've noticed, the Zuiho has this amazing habit of sailing straight out of it like a player in a random battle. Here come the attack planes, though. Now, the interesting thing about operations is the ship can target something, and normally I have no idea how that happens. In this case, it makes sense. The carrier is attacking the ship who is right near him, moving into attack. But I've got defensive fire up, spreads the first wave out, and my buddy in the carrier chases off the other torpedo planes, allowing me to get back to the task at hand. And first, it is going to be getting rid of this Kuma. The Minikaze is somewhere. Eventually, I'll turn hydroacoustic search on, but for now, I'm not too worried about their torpedoes. So, just keep the guns firing, angle in when I'm not using them, and just finish this Kuma off. And see, pumping those citadels in, these guns just making mincemeat of that low-tier cruiser. And at this kind of range, any ship is going to do that. So, one target down, on to the next, the Zuiho. And you can see the Minikaze is spotted aft of me. So, I take a peek around, kind of see where they are. Okay, they're behind land, not too concerned. I do have Hydron, no sign of torpedoes. Keep pumping the citadels into that carrier. And one or two more volleys ought to do it. Decent hit there, 4,800. Come on. I just want this target done so I can start focusing on the destroyer who inevitably is going to target me. Unfortunately, defensive AA is down. Got more torpedo bombers coming in. The carrier either dropped them prior to dying, or the bot can still control planes after they die. I'm not really entirely sure. This looks like an auto drop to me though, so I'm pretty sure the bot's bound by the same rules. Once it dies, it loses control. But since it's a bot, it's probably automatically targeting things the second those planes get launched. I slow up, duck them. Time to work on the Minikaze. And with the one carrier out, you can see we just have to destroy Tatsu, and for now, save the support ships. But pretty quick here, we are going to get told, hey, beat the Raptor to extraction. And, well, with a speed like the Duca, that's not going to be hard. You can see I'm about 11 kilometers behind the fleet. They're going to this point here, and then they're going to proceed straight west. Now, on the way, the Raptor loses her engines, the Liberty starts repairing her, and, it creates the drama. Fortunately, they do it right next to an island, have some good cover. So as long as you're staying out in front of that group of ships, you shouldn't have any difficulty protecting them. And you can see, we're really running through this. In my first playthrough, by now, we'd already lost 3 ships. We still managed to 5-star it because the bots seem to do a pretty decent job of keeping themselves safe. And I think it's because they're not going at the same speeds as everybody else, but also they're clearly programmed so that this isn't completely frustrating. If the bots were idiots and got themselves killed every time, you would just get sick of this game mode. So it's nice that they play smart. What I can't wait for is hard mode, because my experience so far with these, you have a couple competent players, you read the instructions, you can get the 5 stars, which is nice. It's nice to have achievable objectives that don't mean grinding for 10, 20, 30 hours to get a small reward. That said, I am looking forward to a challenge. Now you can see, well, I went over for the one carrier. Goomba kind of went up to the northwest to really head off any ships that spawn there, and he's got a Kuma in close. Meanwhile, I'm dealing with this Ioba, who's sitting side on. AP, clearly the weapon of choice here. 1 or 2 more good hits, they ought to be dead, and, well, one of our other Graf Spays finishes them off. Kuma gets... not Kuma. Goomba gets bold, chasing around the corner at that Kuma. Unfortunately, once again, I've really noticed the bots do a pretty decent job of dodging torpedoes, if there's only one volley at them. and the Kuma dodges them. I figure Goomba's going to be shooting any second here, so I look away and, well, Kuma's still alive, alright. Bring the guns over again, pull the trigger, and there we go. Gets them with a P, they're dead. Now, the rest of the ships are finally spawning in. You can see we've got to outrun the Raptor now as a secondary task, and I'm pretty much just going to sail straight there. As I said earlier, this isn't like the previous mission where once you get to that extraction or half your team gets there, it's over. There's no like half your surviving ships have to be there to outrun it. One ship has to get there quicker than the Raptor. And in this case, it's gonna be me. We've got a Byron who's pushed well ahead, but come on. It's a tier 6 battleship, not exactly the quickest beasts. And thankfully, the final enemy carrier is spotted. So this is going to be a pretty easy end to the match. Our whole team's pushing up together. We're tightly packed other than Goomba and the Byron. And, well, one of our secondary objectives isn't going to last a whole lot longer. I'm not sure why I activated Hydra there. I think I thought I was putting up defensive AA and just keyed the wrong button. Either way, not really going to affect me since none of these planes care about me. I think they're all going after the Byron. So I'll just keep focusing down Tatsu, and one more good hit, they ought to be gone. There they go. Another kill, another secondary task done. So with the list getting shorter and shorter, I decide to get into that cap, bring the guns to starboard, and it's time to focus down some enemy ships. We were hoping there might have been a hidden achievement here for killing every single enemy ship that spawns before getting to cap. It doesn't seem that way. Interestingly, one of the hidden achievements seems to be win the operation, but everybody die. I saw this on Reddit. Someone in the previous week's operation got to extraction, the checkbox appeared, and they exploded. And they ended up getting a victory, got that hidden achievement. So at some point, I guess I'm going to have to try to go for that, and it's probably going to take coordinated effort, because you've got to be going into that cap with next to no hit points. And that'll be a tricky thing to do. Unlike finishing this one off, the Miyogi gets absolutely destroyed by our CV. I'm working on the Kuma. Once again, just pumping citadels into these low tier targets. Unfortunately, don't pick up the kill there. I was really hoping to get that nice round 5 number. Doesn't give you a Kraken, but still feels good. 118,000 damage. I've had a lot of fun this match. And, you know, damage kills, they don't matter as much because bots aren't always the most challenging target. They can be difficult if they all decide to target you, because it doesn't seem they ever stop shooting at you at that point. But you can see Congo not paying attention to me. I can safely sit side on and just keep all my guns engaged. Finish the Congo off, meaning that's the last target. You can see the Raptor is still stopped behind us, doing its repairs. Shortly you'll see in chat, repairs are done, I gotta get steaming. There it is, time's up, I can't wait any longer, moving out. Well, we've already killed every single enemy that spawns, so we all kind of just sit around, group up, and I learned another interesting thing. There's no team damage in these, because everyone and their dog starts launching torpedoes at each other. Careful not to hit those bot ships. Anyways, let's jump to the post-battle. And there it is, the 5 stars, which means another 10-point commander. I can't remember what nation it is this week, but definitely a nice little bonus reward. Also, really, I guess the tier 5 reward is just the day of premium. All told, 345,000 credits, 5,600 experience, 120,000 damage, 5 kills, 23 citadels. And that's why I would recommend bringing, one of the fast cruisers that you really like, that you can punch holes into things. I don't think you really need to go to the 203s that the Japanese can bring, but if that's what you enjoy,
bring it, because as you saw, a lot of the targets, low tier cruisers, easy to quickly wreck, and the couple battleships that spawn, they're not too hard to focus down as a team. And this one wound up on the top. I think that was just a function of managing to shoot down a number of planes, and I just got to do a lot of damage because I went off alone. I dealt with, the carrier, the Kuma. So it was damage just to me. The rest of the team stuck and protected those ships, and that's how you get through it. Like defensive naval station Newport, you have to coordinate. One person go and deal with the carrier, go and protect the carrier in the case of Newport, not the whole team. If everybody were to try to sail down where I was, we'd be so out of position it wouldn't have worked out, and we probably would have lost a bunch of our support ships. But because the main group stuck close, one or two ships pushed out, played safe, but killed what spawned, it worked out. One of the other things I've really enjoyed about these operations is you seem to make decent credits. 250,000 in this case, 5,600 experience. In co-op, it can be a big grind to try to make some decent money. In these operations, your rewards seem good. There's lots of targets to shoot at, and you can really get the damage counter up high enough that you're making some good money. And I've found it a fun or easy way, less frustrating than a bunch of random battles, to make some money to buy ships. Anyways, I hope this helped people out. Hopefully you can all get 5 stars yourselves. If you did like this, please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing. And as always, I am Qckslvrslash, and I'll have another one for you all later.